all political leaders or office holders should be placed on minimum wage. A non-governmental organization known as Youth Rights Campaign has demanded that President Bola Tinubu and other political office holders in Nigeria be placed on the national minimum wage. According to the organization, it is not fair to ask average Nigerians to make sacrifices for the country while the political elites feed on the nation's resources. The group, through its national coordinator, Michael Lenin, also demanded the increase of the minimum wage up to 200,000 naira per month without retrenchment and unemployment allowance for young people without a job. Unemployment allowance? Excuse me? That sounds a bit too privileged for unemployment, but for young people without a job, that does not make sense. YRC stated this while condemning the planned 114% rise for political office holders. Exactly, then this is now the problem. The group observed that Tinubu and all political office holders need to take a pay cut because of the humongous salaries and allowances they already receive. And you know what's ironic? Pensions aren't being paid, for a lot of these political office holders. When they leave office, there is always some sort of scheme to keep them going. So if they leave office or they end up in another position, there's always, who was it? Wasn't it Dino Melaye and other political office holders where after office, you see the cars that they have. You're like, wait, you're not in office anymore. How are you financing your lives? We don't know you for any businesses. We don't know what you're doing. But not that you can't live a good life, but you're living as if you're not even in Nigeria, And you have some political, especially like Dino Melai, because he posts his cars. If you're getting a new car almost every week, or like you show your house and some magnificent design. And then we're like, wait, when you were in office, you weren't showing this much. You weren't living this much. Now you're out of office. How much are you earning from the government? And yes, the government has come out to say that, yes, there are schemes to basically, take care of ex-political officers. And it just doesn't make sense. But I also think that for groups who come out to then say Tinubu should do this, Tinubu should do that, I'm personally very tired because I basically don't see the point. I don't see what the reason is why we're telling these individuals who know what they're doing, who basically know what they're doing, and tell them, you shouldn't do this, you should have a pay cut, there should be this, there should be that. All these bodies, all they do is speak. But when it's time for any movement that means the young people going out or just for progression, it's like, these bodies, where were you? Where are you to be seen? And that's why I said, the post-election reconciliation, or I guess resumption to how things are, there's so many groups. It's crazy. We have so many groups that always speak and all they do is just give advice. But they're not in a political position. They don't own any political power, leverage, or even connection, but all they do is to give advice. And I'm like, interesting, very interesting. And that's the Youth Rights Campaign. But would they ever listen? No. This is all supported and it's the correct answer. But then we've got a realistic view. And okay, Godi P 2019 states, this can never happen in Nigeria. These politicians would rather collapse the entire structure instead of seeing this happen. They've turned this country into world headquarters of cheating, greed, and corruption. Exactly. So it's like when you have leaders who basically do not care about their reputation, first of all, they don't care about progress or development. Like, are we asking for too much that your leader just cares? Like, you think Nigeria is the only corrupt country in the world? But then why do we have to be number one? Why is it that when it comes to diverting funds, when it comes to politicians being arrested abroad, how many years with Ibori case in the UK, the Delta State governor, and every year, I even trust the UK at this point because every day the UK was sending back money to the Nigerian government because of how much Ibori stole and looted. And the payments ended in 2019, 2020. So it's like, you have people who go into office, and it's not like as if these people travel around the world. These people engage in meetings. It's like, how much greed and how corrupt are you? To a point where you don't care how you look. You don't care that people are dying and suffering. You don't care that you're the state and the people that you lead. The place is so insecure. Health, education, and then you now have brain drain of your resources. You basically have doctors and nurses and skilled workers wanting to leave. And where are they going to? They're going to Canada, they're going to America, they're going to the UK, they're going to the Middle East. So it's like, you're not just losing valuable resources, your human resources, you're losing them to already functioning top countries in the world. So it's like, as a leader, don't you get affected by these things? But when it comes to having that image, having an entourage, if for example, literally, if President Tinubu wants to go past, a street, you'd have 5 cars that would come before making noise, and then you have his main car and have 5 cars behind him. It's like, we're so used to showing, and that's how they basically tell us that they loot the money, because how do you spend that much money on how you look? Or even, was it one time where Buhari comes out and he says he needs to buy different cars for his office holders? Was it 15 new models of some car model? And we're like, wait, what? And then you have such dire, bad economic issues. You have the Naira that is being depreciated, devalued, and the decrease is just 200%, 300%. It's like, what? Because you have your dollar that was 200 Naira to $1, and now we're looking at 700 Naira to $1. That should be making you worried. But anyways, the problem is, it's not necessarily who is in office. It's because the people they're taking over from and the people they took over from and their predecessors and ancestors laid out a template on how they should lead, and they're basically still following it until this day. Put what you think in the comment section below, and don't forget to like and subscribe.